Don't you dare, ref. That she got the ball.
Good day, Tottenham fans worldwide, and hopefully you're all having a great weekend as Tottenham Hotspur return to Premier League action as we welcome Fulham down to N17 for a London derby as we aim to break our inconsistent run of results and secure back-to-back league wins for the first time since September. I think it's absolutely crucial that we build on last week's demolition job of Man City. Now, of course, we are heading into this game still without some key players, but the focus really should be on continuing the momentum that we've gained this week. The big question for Ange is whether to stick with the same outfield lineup that overwhelmed and outplayed and bullied Man City, or should he manage minutes and fitness with the demanding, grueling fixture schedule that we're in the midst of. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at the lineup that I think the gaffer will choose. In goals, Fraser Forster is anticipated to step in not only for Europa League and Cup games but also Premier League now in the absence of Vicario. And fun fact for you all, Fraser Forster is making his first Premier League appearance for Tottenham since May 2023. Now, there's a lot of different opinions on his performance Thursday night against Roma. I think it's very divided out there. Personally, I believe he exceeded my expectations. They were very low of him. However, in matches that he has played this season, I've noticed a recurrent theme. Shots aimed towards the corners, especially low ones, they often result in goals. And the reason why is his speed and his agility is just lacking in that department. I do think it's absolutely crucial that the team provides him with a much stronger defensive support. However, there was positives in there. Anything that sort of came at a decent height towards him, even last minute shots, he was pulling off saves. So there was a lot of good to be able to build on, and you would hope with his experience, he was just finding his feet and now he's ready to go for this game against Fulham. One area of the game I would keep an eye on Fraser Forster is Fulham will put a lot of crosses into the box, and I'm going to explain the reason why going forward when I talk about other positions. He needs to come out and help that back line and try and claim a few if he can throughout the game. At left back, Archie Gray, who played against Roma Thursday night, will make way for the returning Destiny Udogie, who was absolutely outstanding against Man City. And Udogie may very well come up against Adama Traore here, which will be an absolute fascinating battle of power, strength and speed. I actually think that Destiny Udogie has all these sort of attributes to be able to deal with the threat that Traore poses. However, in this game, Udogie will have to be a lot more proactive in getting out, cutting out crosses into the box. This is an area of his game that I do think needs improvement, anticipating the danger and preventing the crosses from coming in. At times, I find him too passive, allowing the ball to come in. For me, he must recognise that teams are targeting his side, putting crosses in on top of Pedro Porro out the far side. This is an area and a weakness of ours that oppositions are exploiting, and he can do a lot more to be able to combat it. At right back, I do see a lot of calls around the place, people calling for Jed Spence to come in to give Pedro Porro a rest, and I think it would be a good idea at some point. Is it now in the home game against Fulham, or do you do it Thursday away against Bournemouth? It'd be interesting to see what Postecoglou does, because I do think we will have to rely on Jed Spence at some point. However, I do think Pedro Porro will retain his place here. And look, Pedro's defending at the back post was targeted by Claudio Ranieri the second half of the game Thursday night, and the pressure eventually got to him. I think for me, during the final 10 minutes, he became erratic and was in survival mode, to be quite frank. I think he really needs to learn how to handle this kind of pressure, or teams will continue to exploit it. Now, the reason why I'm so worried about crosses into our box in this game is Fulham do boast the most accurate crosses per 90 minutes this season across the Premier League, so he is likely to face a similar barrage here in this game, and he must do better at stopping these crosses into the box as well, and be prepared to defend them when they come in from the opposite side with his life. Fulham is also a well-organised team, so going forward I do want to see Pedro Porro take a lot more responsibility in possession, delivering crosses from different angles, and the guy has the ability to be able to do that. No fullback has more goal contributions in the Premier League since Pedro Porro's arrival than him, and with his goal threat, this could be one of those games where we might actually have to rely on a stunning strike from Pedro Porro, who has proven he could do it in the past. My mind goes back to Burnley in the Cup. At right-sided centre-back, no more good news on the injury front in terms of centre-back. Ange Postecoglou has said in his pre-match press conference that Romero will not be fit for this game and that he's not going to rush him back, which means Radu Dragusin will retain his place once more. Now, I thought he had a really good game against Man City, but against Roma the other night, I thought he made a really costly error. He conceded a needless free kick, in my opinion, when we were 1-0 up. And Roma punished us. They went and scored from it, which actually gave Roma the momentum and the belief that they needed to be able to get back in the game. And he simply needs to eliminate these silly mistakes, these lapses in concentration from his game. Like I said, Fulham do have the highest number of accurate crosses per game in the Premier League, and it will provide a tough test for our defence on the evening. It is one of our biggest weaknesses. This is the type of match where someone like Radu Dragusin must stay fully focused, ready to attack every single ball that comes into that box. He's 6'8", he's as tall as Lurch, he's built like a shithouse. This is a prime opportunity for him to be able to demonstrate his dominance, especially aerially, and give Postecoglou something to think about going forward. At left-sided centre-back, still no Mickey van de Ven available, so Ben Davies will continue at left-sided centre-back, and he has been absolutely brilliant this season, and he was really good the other night, actually. He put in a really solid performance against Roma, making 6 clearances, completing 91% of his passes, and he's been operating at a pure different level this season than in previous seasons, proving himself this season to be a very reliable deputy. And this form actually likely explains why reports from The Athletic are suggesting why Tottenham may be ready to offer Ben Davies a new contract. That said, air of caution heading into this game. I do recall last season when Davies struggled up against someone like Adama Traore, who was quick and direct. Fulham have a couple of them players in the team. Van de Ven actually had to go out and bail him out quite frequently last season, having to cover for him. And I am a bit concerned that this game, similarly as last season's one, might not actually suit Davies' strengths. However, given that he's been much improved this season, he may very well surprise me here with another strong display. Now, heading into the midfield, not so much debate who plays at the base of that midfield. Of course, with Rodrigo Bentancur now serving the second game of his suspension, Bissouma will come back here into the engine room, and he was absolutely fantastic against Man City. He picked up a really early yellow card in that game, and to be honest, I actually think it done him the world of good, because what it meant then is he had to be hyper-focused, super locked in, and look at the performance he went on to produce. And I think that's one of Bissouma's biggest problems. He could be a lot more consistent if he locked in a hell of a lot more than what he does. Came on the other night against Roma, didn't think he was fantastic, thought he was still poor enough on the ball, often vacating that CDM position, and that's one thing that Bentancur doesn't do. However, Bissouma, he's not a natural number 6. At some point, I would like to see him given a go in one of them number 8 roles, but it's probably testament to how much Postecoglou really trusts him that he actually puts him in that number 6 role. And if he can reach a similar level of performance like he did against Man City, he can really provide us not only the strong base that we need defensively to be able to push on, but also going forward. Now, heading into the 2 other roles in midfield, there's a lot of debate here. You've got 3 players vying for 2 positions, and all 3 are on form. You've got Papamatta Sarr, you've got James Maddison, and you've got Dejan Kulusevski right now, all hot and all on form. So who does Postecoglou go with to complete this midfield? For me, Papamatta Sarr has to take one of these places. He is the unsung hero of this midfield, and I find his contributions often go underappreciated. Sarr covers an incredible amount of ground. As the saying goes, 70% of the world is covered by water, the other 30% is covered by Papamatta Sarr. For me, I think he's our version of someone like N'Golo Kante at Leicester, at Chelsea, and what he's done for France in years gone by, tirelessly disrupting opposition play, covering for his teammates, and keeping that ball moving with great efficiency. Every midfielder needs a workhorse like him to provide the foundation for our flair players to be able to go on and thrive, much like what Victor Wanyama used to do for us back in the day under Pochettino. The next question is then, who completes this midfield? What is the right combination for this game? Well, I'm going to go with James Maddison, who was rested from the start against Roma in the Europa League, with Kulusevski moving into that central role, which it does beg the question then, what's Postecoglou going to do heading into this game? However, as Paul O'Keefe suggested, Maddison's absence was likely precautionary, so I do expect him to fully return here in the engine room. After his 2 goals and starring role in the demolition of Man City last weekend, Maddison was brimming with confidence. He was commanding on the ball, orchestrating play beautifully, and showing real movement while also getting stuck into challenges. More of the same, please, James. And heading into the forward line, still carrying many injuries across this forward line. We are down to the bare bones. So I will start with left wing. And of course it will be our captain Son, who scored a very well taken penalty against Roma, and it was absolutely great to see him back on the score sheet after a little bit of a drought. And for me, Son still remains our best attacker. His presence constantly draws multiple defenders towards him, which creates valuable space for the likes of Maddison and every other player to be able to operate in. However, for this game today, he will need to step up defensively and support Destiny Udogie. Crosses into our box, especially towards the far post, like I've said earlier, have become a recurring issue, and many teams are targeting this weakness. Fulham will look to double up down that side and look to get balls into the box at all opportunities. And this is an area of the game where Son in recent weeks hasn't been so inclined to do, which is get back defensively and offer that support. And for me, that's why he is being taken off in games. That's why the substitution is happening, because he's bringing on someone like Werner who will do that, and he's been brought on to do that role to help protect the fullbacks later on in games. And lastly, hopefully Son's injury struggles are behind him, and I do hope that he can hit one of them signature purple patches that he's been known for going on throughout his career. If he does, he could be absolutely pivotal in helping us really kick on, push forward, and especially with that top four on the horizon. Now's the time to put that run together and break into it. Now, at right wing, there is a bit of a debate here. Do you go with Brennan Johnson, who scored his 9th goal against Roma, making him the club's leading goal scorer this season? Or do you continue with Dejan Kulusevski, who was absolutely phenomenal out there against Man City and absolutely ripped them apart? Well, it's of my opinion, that cross against Man City that Kulusevski delivered for James Maddison, that is needed against well-organised teams who do sit up a little bit more defensively. And to be quite honest, that cross alone demonstrated exactly the kind of delivery that we've been missing from wide positions this season. Johnson, as we've seen on several occasions, lacks that sort of ability. Using Kulusevski in this role for me would also help create more opportunities against low block systems, but also more opportunities for Dom Solanke in general, who I will get onto. And I know this may seem harsh on Brennan Johnson, who is having a very strong season, I may add. Like I said, leading scorer this campaign. However, he excels as an inside forward, finishing moves off created by others, rather than actually being the creator himself for others. And against well-organised teams, I don't think he contributes enough to justify reshuffling the attack that actually worked so well against Man City last weekend. And last but not least, heading up front is the only striker fit and available for today's game. It's Dom Solanke. Dom Solanke. Now, just a quick conversation on Dom Solanke. So far, he's got 6 goals in 17 games this season. In my opinion, Solanke is finding it difficult to be able to deliver the consistent goals that we really need. And while his overall game and contribution is really good, it's really strong, and he contributes a significant amount to our attacking play in and out of possession, he has missed key opportunities in recent weeks. One clear chance against Roma, one massive chance against Man City, and also one right at the depth against Ipswich Town. He really has to learn to become more clinical. Now, however, to be fair to Dom Solanke, one clear-cut chance a game is just not sufficient enough for a striker to be able to rely on. I think he's also hindered in that department by having wingers who are reluctant to deliver crosses into the box, which I think limits his chances further. When you look at Son, he's not known for his crossing ability. He can, but he's not known for it. He's known for getting on that ball, driving inside onto his right foot, and absolutely punishing teams. Johnson, as we've seen, is more of an inside forward. So the service out wide for Dom Solanke for him to feed off is just not there. Which means when these one chance a game comes around, he has to learn to be a lot more clinical and to be able to take them. But guys, that's my predicted lineup to take on Fulham tomorrow. Let me know yours in the chat. Let me know your opinion on my decision in terms of the midfield 3, but also taking Johnson out the team and bringing in Kulusevski. Give me a score prediction below. And guys, have a great day. Smash the like button on your way out. It's very important. And come on, you Spurs. In the big hands we trust. We never stop. And I'll see you back here at 11 for the pre-match build-up to the big game.